you guys have slandered Sweetener for the last time. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're here for the first time. So today I'm going to be discussing Ariana Grande and her album Sweetener. Now, specifically Sweetener in comparison to Thank You Next or her other albums. Now, before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like this video if you're enjoying it so far. I'm gonna put my Twitter up on the screen for you, and I have some Wendy's. I was gonna get a 4 for 4, but they don't even have that anymore at a lot of locations. Let me get in my 5-3 zone so I can put things. Wait, would it be left? Okay, left is the cards, so right. Anyway, we're gonna be on this side. We're gonna be on this side. I got a Baconator. Let me hand sanitize. Been running around all day. Look, this thing flies everywhere. So I've had hand sanitizer in many of my drinks, but hey. Okay, so this conversation started on Twitter. Obviously, that's what I'm on all the time. And people were saying Thank You Next or Sweetener. And a lot of people were saying Thank You Next. Now look, I respect that people prefer Thank You Next over Sweetener. But people are going as far as saying that Sweetener is her worst album. People are going as far as saying Sweetener is her worst album. Now here's my problem. Sweetener is not her worst album. It's not. And I've had enough of that slander. Sweetener was a moment. Sweetener was history. History, love. Sweetener was history. She was going through so much at the time. She just came out with her album, Success. And then Thank You Next comes out after all that stuff was going on, which Thank You Next was probably her... Hold on. Okay. I don't have any ranch. Oh my god. This is gonna be dry. Oh, I have a Baconator. I have fries. Oop, that's my receipt. And I have a Frosty. They didn't give me a straw, unfortunately. These fries are cold. I hate Wendy's. I don't know why I got Wendy's. I was in the mood for a 4 for 4. Anyway, let's start out with discussing Thank You Next. Now, I use my phone to record, so I have a notepad. Apparently, I did have a pen in my middle section. Now, let's look at the Thank You Next track listing. We have Imagine. Personally, when I first heard Imagine, I heard like the little whistle tones everywhere. I was like, okay. And then I listened to it. I didn't really like it. Disclaimer, a lot of things that I hear for the first time, I don't like. It takes me like a second or third listen. Like, for instance, Igor by Tyler, the Creator. I listened to that song. I was on the bus on my way to work. This was like May when it came out, whatever. And I was just like I didn't know how to take it. But then I went back, gave it a listen, and I was, on my laptop working. And I was like, this is like the greatest album I've ever heard in my life. Like, what was I thinking the first time? And that happens with just about everything. Like, things that I watch, things that I listen to, like, it literally takes me a couple times. Anyway, let's get into it. I didn't really like Imagine at first, but okay. So we kept listening. We have Needy. Amazing. We have NASA. One of my favorite songs from the album. We have Bloodline. I like Bloodline. Bloodline's not bad. We have Fake Smile. Now, here's where the album gets good. When Fake Smile starts, that's where we're like, okay, this album's gonna be history. So we have Fake Smile, follow that up with Bad Idea, follow that up with Makeup, follow that up with Ghosting, end it off with, no, not even end it off, but this little chunk of the album is literally like no skips, okay? Like, you can skip Needy if you're not in the mood to listen to Needy. You can skip NASA if you're not in the mood for, Poppy or whatever. And then we have, did I say Makeup? We have Makeup, and then we have Ghosting, which is like a cool down from all those hits that you just heard, like Bad Idea, Fake Smile, Makeup. We have Ghosting. That chills you out. Then we have In My Head. When I tell you I'm in my head stan, I will push in my head. When she came out with that visual, got my entire life. Then we have 7 Rings and Thank You Next, which both have videos, which I think was mostly the promo for the music, for the whole album altogether. Then we have Break Up With Your Girlfriend, On Board, which I think was the first video that came out with this album, which kind of gave me a taste of this whole album. And I was like, what is she doing? Like, I like Break Up With Your Girlfriend. I skip it though. It's the last song on the album. They had a lot of promo at the beginning before the actual album came out. I skip it though. But I do know all the words. And like, okay, fun fact, I sing Thank You Next front to back at work because we are not allowed to have our phones on the floor. So I sing this song. I sing this whole album front to back to pass the time. Not kidding, word for word, song for song. Fun fact. Now, you may be thinking that I could prefer Thank You Next over Sweetener. You will find that out later on in the video because I have to process, I have to think, I have to go through these track listings. And I'm going to discuss why I think that people think that Sweetener is her worst album. Okay. Let me eat. I'm running my mouth. Hold on. Hold up. I don't have anything actual to drink, so we're gonna be drinking water because I have this Frosty. Okay. So as for Sweetener, we have Raindrops. We have 2 of the most skippable songs ever made, Blazed and The Light Is Coming. We have REM, or REM, that's what I call it. After REM, we have God Is a Woman. Then we have we have Sweetener. Successful. We have Every Time. Possibly my favorite song from the whole entire album. Breathe In is also skippable. You can listen to it sometimes, but not all the time. We have No Tears Left to Cry, which is, I put on No Tears Left to Cry whenever I just even like listening to it sometimes. We have Borderline. Love Borderline, but as I say Borderline, I start singing Bloodline. I don't know why she did that to us, but she did do it. Borderline is an amazing song. It has Missy Elliott on it. And it's just, I don't know, I just love it. Then we have Good Night and Go. This is literally my favorite chunk of the album. Okay, from Every Time to the rest of the track list is where this album gets like really good. Well, actually, I would say from Successful to the rest of the album. We have No Tears Left to Cry, Borderline, Good Night and Go, Pete Davidson. Unfortunately, the song's name is Pete Davidson, and it's like top 2 and not number 2 on the album. Thanks a lot, Ariana Grande. And then we have Get Well Soon. Now we're gonna get into it. I know it's been almost 10 minutes and I've been running my mouth, but we're gonna get into it. Sweetener is not Ariana Grande's worst album, okay? Just off of a few songs alone, the production factor, the material, like what I'm reading here, Successful, Sweetener, God Is a Woman. Okay, let's discuss God Is a Woman. God Is a Woman and No Tears Left to Cry, when those videos dropped, let's just say that there was a lot of cultural impact. There was a shift. There was a shift in the atmosphere. We knew she was coming. Ariana was coming. Okay? We had... Okay, I think that was it. But let's not act like Sweetener was not a moment. Yes, Sweetener has more skippable songs than Thank You Next, because I can't lie, I listened to Thank You Next front to back. But there is a huge difference between the source material. And let me tell you why people do not prefer Sweetener over Thank You Next, and people think that it's her worst album. Sweetener was produced by Pharrell. About 95% of the songs, I would say. People do not like Pharrell anymore. Okay? Sweetener was more R&B. Ariana Grande has always been more R&B, but it is always marketable and able to play on the radio. Okay? Think about how many songs on Sweetener you heard on the radio. I'm going to take a bite. The singles. God is a Woman, No Tears Left to Cry. Correct. Let's take a look at how many songs from Thank You Next I've heard on the radio. Or maybe even you. I've heard it in my head on the radio. I've heard 7 Rings, Thank You Next. Those are the singles, I believe. Break Up With Your Girlfriend definitely had radio play. And I believe that's it. That's significantly more songs from Thank You Next. Now, what is the difference between Thank You Next and Sweetener? Thank You Next is more pop than Sweetener. Okay? The pop girlies do not like Sweetener. The pop girlies do not like Pharrell. I even had let me move because I might insert a screenshot. I don't know. Someone said that Pharrell is going to ruin Meg Thee Stallion because they were in the studio or whatever. Like they ruined Sweetener. And I had to say something. Because Pharrell made Sweetener, okay? Get Well Soon alone was produced by Pharrell and saved Sweetener, okay? Sweetener, the song, is amazing, okay? Successful. Now look, I've probably listened to The Light Is Coming and what's the name of that song? I don't even know. And Blazed once. I skip it every time. They're annoying songs. I even think Nicki Minaj is on The Light Is Coming, but we all know Nicki Minaj is not really marketable anymore. You know, she comes out with features and she features on people's songs. That is a whitehead. And, you know, they kind of fall off the charts, so she's not really marketable anymore. Ariana Grande is definitely more marketable than Nicki Minaj is today in time. But people do not like Sweetener because it is more R&B. That's the way that it was fed to us. That's the way that it was marketed and promoted. After she came out with Thank You Next some months later, Sweetener got left in the dust. We got no more visuals for it, nothing. But Thank You Next was out for a very long time, and then we got the In My Head visual.
Excuse me,
Okay. Those are just the facts. Now, in my personal opinion, do I think that Thank You Next or Sweetener is better? Let me think about that. Oh, I opened up this Frosty. Yep, I'm about to do it. Don't worry about me.
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, sweetheart. Don't worry about it, sweetheart.
Now, Wendy's fries don't really go well with ice cream. But fries and ice cream will always be the wave. Always. I go to McDonald's just to get a McFlurry and fries. With the Oreos in it. Yep. Now, I prefer Sweetener over Thank You Next. I'm pretty sure you guys saw that one coming. Yes, I can sing Thank You Next back to back, front to back. Yes, I can listen to Thank You Next, no skips. But Sweetener, Sweetener is that girl. Sweetener is that girl. Yep. Thank You Next is just more pop. We have, it's cute. Thank You Next is just cute. Sweetener's more, you can move a little something back there to Sweetener.
Did I lie? Did I lie? Did I lie?
Yeah. 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 I said it. Is Sweetener the better album? As a collective? As a body of work? I'll agree. The fact that it has no skippable, the fact that Thank You Next has no skippable songs and Sweetener does. Thank You Next would be its superior. Yes. But Sweetener is not her worst album. No. And some of you are about to be real mad at me, but it must be said. I have never listened to Dangerous Woman as a whole. I've listened to a couple songs, but I have not listened to that album as a whole. Now, when I tell you I've been an Ariana stan since Put Your Hearts Up, since the Victorious days, I mean that. I've listened to every one of her albums except for Dangerous Woman. I literally could not tell you why. I just haven't gotten around to it. If I'm not mistaken, is that the one with like Love You Harder? Dangerous Woman, of course. I don't know. That was a very popular era. I might just listen to Dangerous Woman for the first time and do a best to worst Ariana Grande albums. And we'll see which one I think is the worst. Because yours truly was a moment. My everything was a moment. Come on. Come on. That was, what year was that? That was when 𝘀𝘀 Azalea was getting big. Oh. Iconic. Okay? Iconic. Okay. I've been sitting in this car for about 20 minutes, running my mouth, barely eating my food. So, we're going to wrap this up by saying Sweetener is not Ariana Grande's worst album, guys. We're going to stop that discussion right there. Thank You Next as a collective is a better body of work than Sweetener. Yeah. Yeah. Let me know your comments down below. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to check out my previous video. I talked about 𝘀𝘀 and Dwayne Wade's daughter and why people need to leave her alone. And let me know what videos you want me to do next. I definitely have more content coming. Probably just going to be ranting because, let me know what you guys want me to eat next if it's in my area, because this area sucks. I have to drive far to get good food. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Let me know what you think. Is Sweetener a better album than Thank You Next? Do you think that Sweetener is her worst album? I might not respond, but I just want to know, okay? I just want to know. Or let me know if you're with me on this one, okay? And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.